Hello. So, today, you might notice I have this little white mask in my head. I have guests over at my house, so I don't want to get people sick. So, I'm wearing this mask. Now, today, I was watching this podcast, and this lady was like talking about like bookkeepers, and she's like, a lot of bookkeepers don't like doing marketing, don't like selling, and in particular, don't like doing selling because we don't like, talking about ourselves, right? It's very hard for most people to talk about themselves. And I was like, what? Like, I kind of thought about that, and it's kind of tough because on the internet, the only way that you're really going to get clients is by talking about yourself. And a lot of people are resistant of doing that. And I guess it's something I overcame, but I overcame that before I started my businesses, right? So, like, let's say, for example, so for me, when I was younger, I was always having to go through different schools, right? So, from eighth grade to graduating college, I went to, let's say, five different schools, right? Now, number one, what that kind of led to was me not making a lot of like close personal friends as I was growing up. And then once I got towards college, I had to learn how to go and build friendships and build relationships. What that looked like was going and talking to people. It was being okay if certain people aren't going to like you because they don't have anything in common with you. That is, people, like if you're trying to join organizations or get a job, you have to be able to talk about yourself. But a lot of times what happens is people who either, maybe you've grown up with either a lot of friends, or maybe you've grown up like really introverted, learning how to communicate about yourself is a challenge for most people. Even in some cultures, they have what's called like not bragging. They call it like tall poppy syndrome in Australia, right? Where it's like they don't want you to be the tall poppy that stands out, just fit in with everybody else. But when you're trying to grow a business, and you're in a service that can be commoditized. Now, when I say commoditized, it's kind of like insurance. Everyone can need insurance, and it's a government mandated like kind of thing that people have to have. But there's so many insurance agents that's hard for them to stand out amongst one another. So you have the only way you can really do that is by differentiating yourself, and it's by talking about yourself and talking about how you're different. Now, a lot of people do not want to be seen as like bragging, which, I mean, we'll circle back to that. But it's like, why is bragging a bad thing? Now, personally, for me, I do not like bragging at this stage of my career, only because I have so much proof. They're so factual. The things I talk about are true. So rather than having to like embellish and create like things that are not necessarily true, that's what I would almost consider bragging, is when you're embellishing a truth, or when you have kind of you're grasping for straws about the truth. Okay, that would be considered bragging, in my opinion. But telling a truth that just happens to be positive because you're good at what you do is not bragging. That's just communicating the truth, right? If, let's say, for example, if there's a five-star Michelin restaurant that's known for its lobster tail, are they bragging because they're saying we have the best lobster tail in the United States? No. They have third-party evaluations. They have 5 stars. They have a Michelin star. They went on multiple food blogs. They went on Gordon Ramsay's video. And all of these people are saying these things about them. So they're not really bragging. They're stating a fact. Now, that fact might not always be true. They might not always have a 5-star Michelin star like 5, 10 years from now. Someone might come up and make a better lobster tail 3 years from now. But at this very moment in time, and at one point in their career, they had a 5-star Michelin, they had the best lobster tail in the United States, and they had this. That's not bragging. It's just stating the facts. So, really, if you want to be able to talk more about yourself, you need to be able to either go and find different things that you've either been good at, find different awards, find different like certification. That's why people like certifications, but certification not necessarily like the best. It's one methodology of that, right? Like going to school is another methodology of proof. But if you can actually do some client work, that in a lot of cases actually gets you more recognition than anything else. Because anyone can go like, it's like, yes, not everyone can go to get like a college degree, but like, it's not necessarily as hard as what it used to be, as long as you could just find and carve out the time, right? Same with certifications. It's like there's so many certifications online, and a lot of the bodies that do these certification programs are not really that widely like respected, right? So it's just like a bunch of random organizations that are charging you money to give you a certification that may or may not really have that much value in the client's eye. So it's kind of tough for a lot of reasons like that. But okay, getting back to my rant, okay? Why is bragging bad? Just do the best you can. So like okay, if something could be true but it's not quite true yet, talk about it as if it were, and then just work your way backwards to actually making it true. That's it. Like, okay, so someone says like, so you say, okay, I'm the best bookkeeper in my city. Okay, is that perfectly true? I don't know. You haven't met every single bookkeeper in your city, but would clients pay? I'd rather a client pay you to find out you're not the best. Because they're not going to be comparing anything. They don't necessarily want the best. They just want someone that's confident in what they do, willing to stand behind their work, and willing to put in the time to do it. That's it. Okay? Don't worry about, oh my gosh, I'm not the best. I don't have the most experience. It's like, it doesn't matter. Just be there, show up, and do the best you possibly can. If you do that enough times in enough places, you will make as much as you need and as much as you want. Okay? That's how you get the vacations. You'll get the vacations by like being in a corner, not saying anything. Right? I'll give you an example. There's this one guy online, right? I think he has like 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and he's like, I think like 1 million on like Instagram. And he gives like tax advice, right? An African-American man. And recently, there's been people on Instagram who basically take a 1-minute clip of one of his long videos, and they try and poke holes and like, okay, that's not necessarily true. Or you can't do that, or that's not right? And it's just like, they've been doing that a lot. And I think it's, in a lot of cases, just so they can gain some traction, right? If you take the traffic of that person and his clients and the people who view it, then they'll come to yours if they like you more, right? So they're just basically piggybacking off of his marketing. Now, he made a statement recently where it's like, some of the stuff he says is not necessarily... It's not something that someone would be able to use on their own to go and do it. So it's like, so he'll say something, but he won't give the full truth of it. He'll give a partial truth. And it's designed to grab attention because it's something that people have never heard before, and it gives people hope. Now, in one case, some people might be like, oh my gosh, that's unethical. But, I wouldn't necessarily say it's unethical. It's because, like, people really should not be doing tax planning on their own without a tax professional, right? If someone just, like, took, like, maybe, like, 2 or 3 different, like, things that they heard or they saw or they read, and they're running with that to, people that are, like, what's that called? They're trying to do this stuff on their own for tax planning. Like, they probably shouldn't on their own because they're just going to mess something up. It's going to get bad. So it's like, why would he give you the full thing every step of the way? It doesn't make any sense, right? But a lot of people now are like bandwagoning with the other person, saying, oh, you're misleading people. And it's like, okay, I don't necessarily know if he's misleading. It's just he's not telling the full thing. But either way, that's neither here nor there. I wouldn't personally do it. I like giving like full examples because I don't sell necessarily information. I sell implementation, meaning that I tell you exactly what to do, but most people don't necessarily need to know what to do. Most people need to know how to actually do the things they know. It's okay. So how does someone lose weight? Okay, you move more, you eat less, right? In theory. But upon practice, sometimes you have to eat more than what you think. Sometimes you have to eat more of certain things than what you think you do in order for your body to start like turning on its fat burning kind of principles. And in some cases, if you exercise the correct way, you don't need to exercise as much as other people, right? So it's like there's certain things that a regular person would not know based on just not having understanding of that. And it's really interesting because when people try and do the stuff they know to do, it doesn't quite work the way they think it does. So then they have to come to the person that is more of the expert to help them go and understand what to do next to fix it, right? So it's like, I do not sell the information on what you need to do. I tell you the information for free, but it's how do you actually apply that information? What do you do when things go wrong? That's where someone buys something from you. It's the same thing with their bookkeeping services, same thing, for example, with the coaching service I offer, et cetera, et cetera. That's why I can give you such complete information. But at the end of the day, online, it's just about attention. How much attention can you get from business owners? and then like really understanding like, are they the right business owners that can actually afford your services, right? Because like if you're talking to people that are just getting started in business, they probably can't afford to pay you $1,000 a month for bookkeeping, right? But if you're talking to companies that are doing like, $1 million a year, $2 million a year, those are the ones who can afford to pay you $1,000 a month, $2,000, $3,000 a month. So just really kind of be aware of that. It's okay to talk about yourself online. It's okay to brag and be able to kind of get attention. That's because that's all internet is. It's just how much attention can you get, how much money can you get from the people who are paying attention to you and playing that arbitrage over time. Okay, I will talk to you soon. Have a good rest of your day, guys. Take it easy. Bye.